we like to give our opinion. And so we need to address something that was said over here, which is that groups make life hard for a councillor. That's not true. I welcome anyone's opinion. And every piece of new information, I digest. And sometimes I take steps back. And I rethink it all. And so my community council is an advisory group. That's what it is, that's what it's always been. The first one was started by Art Sampson in 2005. And those community councillors have been selected the same way since it started. So it's groups in town, arts and culture, Nancy Gray, she was the executive director of the tournament. It's heritage, Stan Noack. It's business, the chair of the BIA, Phyllis Kramer. Sports is Warren Oda. No one's been involved in sports longer than Warren Oda. And the president of the Seniors Club. And then there are 5 members at large selected by a panel. And that gives me the opportunity to have input from people with spheres of influence that represent the community. And I'm proud to say that those people have been stellar. And that's a great, great way for me to get engagement and to invite people in to talk to my community council and get some feedback. So thank you for the opportunity, and thank you to those people for their commitment to this community, because it's been long and dedicated.
Thank you, Dorothy. Our next respondent is John Roberts. John.
Engaging with the community, voices being heard in regards to democracy. I understand that everyone has very busy lives. They might not be able to attend meetings or information centers like this evening's, but I do believe that the majority of the voters frink their time online. Therefore, I would make sure that all city information and ward information be available for those people to view. As well, I would ensure that all electronic means of communication are also available. I believe voting in itself is a way to express freedom of speech. By not voting, you're also making a statement. You're not happy with your representative running. However, it is your vote that will get issues solved, so please get out and vote. Thank you.
And our next speaker would be Kevin Gray. Kevin, please.
Yes, can you try that here? We might have to take a break. There's my 10 seconds with a bad joke.
This has been so long, it's summer.
You know, with democracy, anytime I say it, I seem to sit up straighter and feel better, and pride comes out. Democracy, this is democracy. This is fantastic. October 22nd, you're going to be able to use your democratic right to vote. Don't just look at tonight, look at the past 4 years. Think about the next 4 years. Think about your community. Where I live is very close to that alleyway. 300 residents got together and tried to voice their democratic thoughts and opinions and their voice, but it didn't matter. One person was chosen, their opinion. And for $2, the neighborhood was disappointed. That's not democracy. I look at the LRT that this city wants to ram forward. If you listen to Mayor Eisenberger, it's a done deal. Shovels in the ground, checks written. We don't have a choice. Not true. Final choice is not until this new council is sitting and democracy will be held. My voice will be heard based on everybody's thoughts. I've listened to hundreds of people around this community that do not want the LRT. It scares me that one of our reps at this table said he's pro-LRT. Everybody I talk to does not want it in this community, but he's going to voice forward. That's not democracy to me. I hope if he's elected and the community says no, he'll listen to that. Our current councillor voted this, put her hand up. When the province did have a gun to their head and said, you need to take this money. When asked about it a few weeks ago, she said it's not a priority. It's a priority to me because it's our money. Residents in this area, we have a choice. We have a right. You have a right to be heard, and you demand that the person that sits in this chair, October 22nd, and the new councillor, represents you to the letter, hears you and listens to you. I'll be in the room with some people from University Plaza.
Thank you. And our next speaker is John McTishan. Please.
Fundamentally, democracy is about listening if you're the elected officials and the voters feeling that they've been heard. Can I have a show of hands here? How many people would, if given an opportunity, attend a 4-hour meeting on a new subject every week? Okay. How many of you would attend a meeting if you knew the most important issue in your lives was being debated by a special interest group that was going to pack the hall that night? So there's a problem with public meetings. And that's why we go through this exercise, that whatever the system is, the community entrusts in one person to weigh all of that and make a decision. Who best can listen to you, be heard by you, and have you believe that you are heard, whether you agree with your elected representative or not. Involvement, well, let me just say something. I asked that if you haven't seen the Cable 14 coverage, you should watch that debate. That was a good debate too. Little different format. We had to be a little more interactive, a little more lively, so I apologize for the format. But everybody up here got asked a question by me, and that was, if we had a referendum, would you respect the rights of the referendum on the LRT? And everybody up here said yes, except Mr. Geller, who said, well, that's too complicated for people to decide on. So put that out there in context. Watch the footage for yourself and decide. Involvement. We need more community involvement. More community involvement would mean who's speeding through Dundas? Not people from Stony Creek. Why are shops closing in Dundas? Because they can't make a go of it. How many people here buy something at another store outside of town? We all do. If it was a thriving place, more places would stay in town. I'm not going to let you.
Thanks, John. And the last speaker on this question is Councillor.
Democracy, and I apologize, I have to leave right after this question, so we'll get back to democracy. Community council, that should belong to the citizens of Dundas, so they should determine how they want that council selected. I mean, it was done back in 2006, I thought, and it's been around for a while, and if it's not working, then we should voice our opinions and propose some changes to it. But I think it's good that there is some feedback, so especially for a council, we can meet with Dundas Councillor and then bring that information back to the city. The thing that I wanted to mention when we talk about democracy, with the LRT, whenever you do a transportation project, you have to look at alternatives. That's part of the process. That wasn't done because someone decided that it was going to be LRT or nothing. It wasn't the people that decided that. And I've read many reports, and both options were available. We should have seen a design for bus rapid transit, design for LRT, and make a selection, but that never happened. When we talk about democracy, look at Parkside. At Parkside, if we had 2 or 3 options, perhaps the people could have had a debate. And I'm sure it was, if we don't do this, a developer's going to take it and we're going to lose it. But I'm sure there was other options available, but they weren't explored. And so that seemed like that was the best choice because that was your only choice. And that's what's happening with the LRT. We don't see the other choice. It was never prepared, and it's like this or nothing, and it didn't have to be that way. Thank you, and it was a pleasure to be here tonight.
Yes, sir. We can applaud Gasper. We have time to move on to a 6th and final question.
The Ward 13 councillor will need to think of citywide issues, local community issues, and in our ward's case, rural issues. What do you see as the most important citywide issue, the most important local community issue, and the most important rural issue?
And our first person is John McTishan.
LRT LRT, LRT, LRT. Everything we want to make our community better. Whether it's fixing up, I don't know if you've noticed, the simplest of things. Our sidewalks, they used to be ground down, you know, because they pop sometimes in the winter. They're being fixed less and less. Why? Well, they're putting asphalt on them. It's cheaper. They're fixing potholes less often. Why? It's cheaper. The city has to be convinced that you're going to win in court if you damage your car on one of their potholes. Why? Because it's cheaper. It's about money. Our city is falling apart. There's a $2.9 billion infrastructure shopping list. We'll get to it someday, maybe. And that's growing. Why? Because there's no money. How many people here, show of hands, would like to fix everything and have your taxes doubled for the next 5 years? Okay, for the people who did put your hand up, I'm sure the city would take double the taxes as a gift. The reality is, you don't want that as a community. So choices have to be made. Hard choices have to be made. The biggest thing we can do to address what's needed for transportation, Waterdown needs transportation issues huge up there. Across the city, it's $800 million, or it's going to get worse. Get that, it's going to get worse in town. Well, they spend 10 years building a choo-choo train that's going to cost $10 to ride, that's going to go nowhere any faster, and you won't be shopping in Hamilton at all because you won't want to go down that road. So, that's a choice. You could vote for Rich, who wants that. You could vote for Arlene, who's not sure about that. She's maybe yes, maybe no. Wait till after the election. The rest of us are all solid no. So there are hundreds of projects and hundreds of needs across the community, and I know where to find the money.
Next speaker is Rich Councillor.
Thank you. The biggest issue I see citywide is the infrastructure deficit and the declining tax base, which is our capacity to pay for the things that John has identified that need to be done. And we need to, over the long term, grow our tax base, and I believe that there are ways that we can do that through targeted development. The biggest issue affecting Dundas is preserving the community identity in terms of the aesthetic and the development pressures, the fact that we're surrounded by a green belt and have nowhere to grow outward, and the pressure to grow up, which the community says that we don't want. We have limitations on that. What we need to be doing is making our community more walkable, more bikeable, because that contributes to the character of Dundas as well. And I really want to see some action on the cycling master plan, and I want to see some better separated cycling infrastructure. In terms of rural ratepayers and residents, I want to make sure that they get bang for their buck, because I can tell you, going door to door in some of the rural communities, they are not feeling the love from Hamilton as it stands. And when we had a debate about area rating and other such services, we need to make sure that rural residents are not paying for services that they don't receive. There's also specific needs from a planning perspective, and we need to make sure that we are not applying cookie cutter measures that we do in the urban setting towards planning principles in our rural areas.
Thank you, Rich. Next speaker is Kevin Gray.
Thanks very much. Great topic. Citywide, accessibility, high costs from this LRT. It's not just going to implement the high cost to put it in. We're talking $1 billion+. How can we utilize that money? A Woodward Street water plant needs $150 million that the city just can't seem to find. Let's get closer to home. We need $50 million for our own water treatment plant that the city can't seem to find or acknowledge. But they're gung-ho on putting a train downtown. Big problem. The costs of the system, if it is up and running, citywide, will average between $10 and $14 subsidy per rider. Not making up numbers, do some research on LRTs across North America. They're heavily subsidized. Accessibility. citywide. Well, if this LRT goes in, it's going to be really tough to get downtown. It's going to be tough for the residents downtown to get out of the downtown. There's only 2 feeder roads, Main Street or King Street. Take King Street out of the mix. So how does that affect us locally? Well, all the hospitals are now downtown. So if we need health care, emergency health care, we might have an ambulance over by the TD Bank at the fire station. How's that going to get downtown? We need an urgent care system in town here. At the very minimum, we need a walk-in clinic. We've got families, children, seniors that need to have health care. We moved here because we had a world-class hospital minutes away. That's gone. This city decided it's gone. Not our choice. Back to democracy. We lost on it. Rurally, they need to be acknowledged. To the point earlier, we feel disconnected from the city, 10 times worse up there. They need the roads and infrastructure. We can take the money that the province will give us and improve our cities.
Thank you. Our next councillor is Arlene Vanderbeek.
Thank you. Without a doubt, the biggest issue in Hamilton and every city in Canada is infrastructure. The top of the road and under the road. Our water treatment plant definitely needs an investment. The Dundas water treatment needs an investment. That's been guaranteed. However, the staff have been given direction to improve what they've been approved to do, so that it affects the nitrates and the phosphates that go into the Desjardins Canal to the point where they can clean it up. And without a doubt, that is a problem across the city. I want to say that the biggest issue here, passionately, among those of us who live in Dundas, is the preservation of the character of our community and the small town feel. And that is true as well in Flamborough. So aside from roads and ditches, their biggest concern is making sure that the rural way of life is recognized and valued at the council table. And so for me, it's about, again, collaborating with the councillors on city council to convince enough of them that those things are important to the city as a whole. And I know that for 4 years now, I've supported the good work of Councillor Pasuda to maintain the profile of the agricultural community so that they get their fair share. And there is a perception, and it's a good perception, it's the truth. They feel that they're not getting their fair share. So one of the things that I need to deal with is making sure that what happens in the rural area makes those people feel like they matter. And the word boundary change brushed them aside. And
Thank you, Arlene. Our next councillor is Pamela.
Yes, thank you. I don't know if anybody here remembers the City Hall downtown when they had the big casino debate. It packed everybody in, they had protesters and everything else. Hamilton said no to the casino downtown, the bingo hall. Now it's knocked down and they want to build a nice, lovely condo down there. And that whole nice block, condo. No affordable housing. But the smart people said no to that casino. The people's voices got heard. That got to bed. We got on to other debates. We need to leave the light rail like that and say no, put it to bed, let's get on to more important things. We need to start running the people's voice, the business of the people at City Hall, better bus service. We need senior building. We need a place that seniors can go to and have their recreation. And I believe that it's time. Put the LRT to bed. Take the money that the government wants to give us and let's use it for better things. We deserve better services. The taxpayers deserve those services. It's not rocket science. I can just imagine, you know, I don't have degree after degree, but I'm a smart person. I know the difference between stupidity and, you know, that little saying, I'll sell you some swamp land. Well, this is what the people are buying with the LRT. It's a headache. You know, I was on the HSR bus. We have that nice little...
Pamela, I'm sorry, the time is gone. Our final speaker on this question is John Roberts.
He asked three things. What's important to the city, or what is the biggest subject? It is the LRT. It's not good for the entire city. We've talked about it enough tonight. As for the town of Dundas, I think a senior center is probably on the high agenda. And why couldn't the metro become a senior center? As for a rural area, our roads in Flamborough are not looked after by the city. Instead of fixing one of the roads in Flamborough, they installed a sign, rough road for 4 kilometers. We need to change. Thank you.
That concludes it. I think we have closing remarks, but I think that we should applaud the councillors. We have allowed them 2 minutes for closing remarks, and we have speaking as per usual, and we're going to start actually with John's petition.
I can never say anything in 2 minutes. Look, fundamentally, as I said at the outset, I believe we can do better. So what can I offer you as a councillor? I would attend all the meetings.